Yo, welcome. Triple option. Another big Sunday here for us. Today is November the 3rd, 2024. I am Mr. 41. In the house with me is Coy.
What up?
And
What up? What up?
yes, sir, Coy is in the building. And the music was brought to you by J Tones, my brother Terrence Jones. Music by J Tones at gmail.com. Music by J Tones at gmail.com. Make sure you check him out. He can help you with a track. All right. Also follow us on Instagram under Mr. 411. Also on TikTok, Mr. 411. All right, we're gonna give you the 411 today. College football, our week 10 review. And man, there was some top five teams that had some uh road challenges. We'll find out if they took care of business. A couple of neutral site game we'll discuss. And there was some upsets in the Big 12. And we're also gonna, wrap things up with our top 10. Corey will help provide us with the top 10 as we get closer and closer to the college football playoff. Corey, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, brother. How about you, brother? Living
Man,
the
I'm
life.
that's it, man. Gotta enjoy it. But yeah, everything's well on this end too, man. Oh man, let's kick things off with Michigan and Oregon. Michigan, the defending national champions, who are unranked, uh, but they were hosting at the Big House. They were hosting Oregon, who's ranked number one. Oregon took care of business. Um, I thought they won in convincing fashion. I'll get your thoughts on it. But man, Oregon 38-17. Corey, what's your thoughts there?
hmm I'm sorry, I got distracted. Come back to
Oh
the
no, you
game.
good. You
Oh,
good.
Oregon and Michigan.
Yeah, man.
Oregon's doing what they're supposed to do to prove that they're the number one team. Um, okay, I got it. I guess I got messages coming in on another device, and I was trying to figure out where they're coming from. But
Oh,
we got
okay.
it together now. All right.
Busy man there.
Yeah. Oregon did what they supposed to. They beat Michigan to keep their number one seed. Yes, Michigan is technically having a very, very down year, but Oregon did beat Michigan, which is a powerhouse team in that conference. Right?
That's true.
Uh so all Oregon Oregon pretty much is on a 9 game winning streak. And looking at their schedule, who do we got left for Oregon? Hmm?
Hmm.
Oregon has we got
I mean,
next
who
week
they
is
had left?
Oregon.
Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington.
hmm And
That's
they're
their
all
next
winnable
three.
games. And
Oh,
then
absolutely.
they can actually after that we're looking at their path to the quote unquote conference championship game. They are eligible for the conference championship game. So and then we'll really get a chance to see if Oregon should be there because they're either going to run into a Penn State or Ohio State team,
Yeah,
or we can't forget Indiana. Just saying. But anyway,
absolutely. We can't forget Indiana, man. They had a blowout victory today too. We won't
and
go into detail with it, but they were down 10-0 against Michigan State, and then Indiana wiped them off the floor, wiped the
and
floor with them after that.
right, and Indiana should be moving up to the coveted at least the coveted 12th spot. But we'll get into that when we get to the
Yeah,
top 12.
right. But yeah, man. I mean, that sums it up, man. Oregon, um, you said it. They're in the number one spot, and I think that's the spot they'll be in at the end of this show. Number one, and until they're beaten, man, 9-0. And then, by the way, while we're here, Dylan Gabriel, another good performance, 294 in the air, two total touchdowns. Hey, man, if you said that your quarterback is 9-0 and ranked number one in the country, let's just say that was Shador Sanders. Would people say that he was the favorite to win the Heisman?
Yes.
And so I feel like,
You have Travis Hunter. However,
yeah,
we all know that
uh-huh,
there's the media game and the hype behind the Heisman and other things. Okay, but Yes, technically, yes. He would be in the conversation to be going to the Heisman at least if he had more backing behind him. But
Right.
you got to also look at Oregon. Yes, it has the Nike machine behind it,
Hmm.
but Oregon has not tried to push him as the Heisman push as far as the Heisman guy because when you look at his stats relative to the other quarterbacks that are quote unquote, he's close, but he's not. He doesn't stand out like a Cam Ward does. 'Cause right
Right.
now, the only quarterback that we would really consider the Heisman for is Cam Ward. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with that if you just said, okay, pull the stats up, put this out there. Cam Ward is having Heisman uh trophy winning numbers.
And he's having Heisman moments. Okay.
He is.
Um,
Hmm.
this guy, Dylan probably it would be quarterback of the best team. Good job, but he doesn't have any defining moments as far as the Heisman go. I mean, we can go
Yeah.
back just last week, just yesterday, and you can see Cam doing what Cam does. The scramble where he was
Right.
in the backfield, he stepped up, he avoided pressure, he slipped a couple tackles, found him a place, found him some space, set his feet, and dropped the dime. Boom. You see what I'm saying? You can't make it up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, man, because you have this that Gabriel's winning and putting numbers up.
Hmm.
Cam's putting up monster numbers, and they're winning too. But then you can also say, okay, who are they beating? Oregon, what conference they're playing in, blah blah blah. Then you still have like Shador putting up stats. You got Travis Hunter, the best player in the game, and then also Ashton Genty, who, by the way, they had a blowout victory Friday
Well,
night,
yeah. Let's say this
and he
conversation
put up
real.
and
Let's
he
get through
putting
the
up
games.
historic numbers.
Let's get
Oh,
through the games
absolutely,
to do. Yeah, because
absolutely.
there's a I might have a couple of ins and outs on some of this stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're just weaving that around because it's really not about the Heisman today. But Oregon, number one in the country. Let's go to Georgia and Florida. At Georgia with the 14-point victory. Coy, I wasn't, other than the Georgia defense, I wasn't impressed. What are your thoughts?
Georgia overcame three picks. Um, a lot of mental mistakes as far as penalties, miscues. You got to play with emotion, but it's got to be control fury. For instance, the Gator chop with the next swipe, boom, that's a 15-yard penalty. Come on. I know you're
Right,
young men, but you know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
right.
You're not. I mean, so I always say the little stuff is what's gonna cost you. Because fast forward to another game, whether it's Texas or one of the other games you play, and you make those little mental mistakes, that could be the decisive change of momentum. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Georgia won. Too many turnovers early. Um, my opinion on Beck. I just don't see it. Not that he's not a good quarterback. I don't see the first round pick, best quarterback in the country type of energy that I was getting early on in the season that everybody was telling me about. I don't see it. Do I think he could be a decent pro quarterback? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe a backup. But he's not a game changer quarterback. He's more of and when he's playing, when he's not giving the picks up. Understand? When he's not giving the picks up, he's a decent general, and he can lead a team. But as
Hmm.
far as I heard this before. Well, if I had a team and I had to put if I needed a quarterback to make my machine go, I'll put Beck in there. If I need a quarterback to be my machine, he's not the guy. Meaning, with the talent with the talent he has around him, he's going to win games. You know what I mean? However,
Oh, yeah. I get you.
can he be the reason I win
Hmm.
games? Most likely not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And of
He's
course,
in the
the
right
Georgia
place.
defense is the Georgia defense.
Yeah, and that was the
They
MVP of the
they were
game yesterday.
physical and they dominated Florida. But
Hmm.
that being said, Florida has um Florida has made strides forward to play a little bit better. So in the Georgia game in the last couple of games,
Yeah, they're just out. You know, they're just out. Talented. You know what I mean?
4-1.
And yeah, can you hear me, Corey? Corey,
Hello, hello, hello.
Corey, can you hear me? Can you
Well,
hear
even
me?
though we got Carson Beck up here, let's move on down to the number
Can
one
you hear me?
three, number three team in the nation, which will put us at the big boy game, Penn State and Ohio State. Close game. Penn State missed the opportunity to win the game. You gave up a turnover in the end zone, which would have been 2020, and also you gave and a turnover on downs inside the five. Yes, true. Ohio State also lost a fumble at the goal line that was a touchback, but that still puts, if you look at it in that logic, those two plays on Penn State and that one play for Ohio State gives you a gives you still a knotted game, and Penn State should have had a chance to win. I also think this is the year Penn State had the best chance to beat Ohio State because Ohio State's not 100% behind the quarterback they have in position. So Franklin, he's going to be a proverbial 10-2 guy. Just that just seems to be the nature of the beast. However, I don't know if that's going to be enough because I always say when your alumni and your fans get that taste of right there,
Yeah.
almost is not going to get it. I heard another statement from someone that says I can't quote the person who was. I might have been listening to Monty Jones, but he was quoting somebody else. It gets down the line. Good coaches in college get to 10 and get to that 10th win. It's that 11th win that decides whether or not you're going to be a national champion. And it's true. It's more no more truer words because you can look at all the next up teams and all the teams that barely make it. You'll see a bunch of 9-3s and 10-2 seasons. All right,
And
what's up? What's next on the docket?
can you hear me, Corey?
Miami, the most. How can I put it? It's a shame. Miami is the fifth ranked team in the country and undefeated. And they did what? They won one more time. So hopefully at the end of this week, we know Ohio and Georgia. So basically, Miami's going to go up one space because everybody's going to say, well, they beat Louisville, which is not a tough opponent. Blah 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 blah. But it's a shame and it's a travesty that we just have we have an undefeated Miami that still sits behind two one-loss teams. Three actually, either three or two. So Cam
Corey,
Ward
can you
put
hear
on
me?
another performance. I still believe that he's going to be the front runner for the Heisman, but we shall see. I mean, there is a late push the for the nostalgia of the for the boys out in Buffalo. I mean, Colorado. All right, next on the docket, Texas was off, and Tennessee burn burner against Kentucky. Kentucky gave them a game and a half. The score was it was almost to the point where early the Kentucky might have pulled off the upset, a couple of bad breaks, but that's the name of the game. You got to overcome bad breaks or whatever. And Tennessee pulled it off because as we all know, that front seven of Tennessee defense coming. And okay, okay, I got you, Mr. 411. We're gonna roll on through. And the next step, we're gonna move on to. I just got cue from the office. We're going to the South Carolina game. South Carolina beats number 10 Texas A&M, but I think we all it's an upset. However, Do we really consider that an upset? South Carolina has played some games against some quote unquote other higher ranked teams and have shown to be very game. And Texas A&M, it's kind of like yeah, they're good, but they're not number 10 good. I look at things like this. Some teams get a higher ranking just because of the chaos of the better teams. The Alabamas, the Texas, the Georgias, Ohio States, the Penn States, Michigan, quote unquote, not being as good as they're supposed to be, blah blah. And then what happens is you have teams that are mid-row teams that slide up just for the fact that they're good enough teams, and you can't help. And when the rankings start falling, they start sliding. Now the Gamecocks, they've been playing some defense and they've been actually having a couple games where they've shocked some teams. So not surprised that they blew out Texas A&M. Where you want to go to next, Mister 411?
Louisville,
All right,
Clemson.
big shock of the week. We all thought that Clemson was on their way back, but they took a bad L to Louisville. Which here's the kicker to it: with that loss, will we possibly see Indiana undefeated in the top 12? And I'm the new rule is the 12 because the playoff stops at 12, right? Or will we get some Bama favoritism and them hop, even though they didn't play last week? So bad loss for Clemson. We thought they kind of was turning it around and looking good, but turns out no. They still got some problems going on. So okay, it is what it is. Not much to see here. Um, Louisville does what Louisville do. They tend to have a game enough team, good enough athletes on the corner that if you can't cover and can't control because they always have an athletic quarterback, and if you can't contain the quarterback, those athletes eventually him and those athletes on the outside tend to put you down, and that's basically what happened to Clemson. And we all know that Clemson, as we thought Dabo Swinney was a genius, but it seems like he had a run of two great quarterbacks, basically. And now that they're gone, he has not been able to reproduce what he had before. Next on the docket, you ready for these guys? Boise State. Oh, we're going to Boise State, or Mr. Foreman's having technical difficulties. Upset Kansas State, Houston. They, the producer says we got to talk about it. Ain't nothing to see here. Let's be honest. Iowa State does it again. Again. Now we have that's another thing. How many of y'all out there can honestly say that Iowa State is should be ranked higher than undefeated Indiana team? Forget that it's Indiana. Forget that it's football is Indiana. Do you think an Indiana team should be ranked below a one-loss Iowa State team? Hmm? And actually, correction, two-loss Iowa State team. So we think. So I'm thinking that Indiana will have its first debut in the top 12 because that's pretty. They'll probably fall in about 11 or 12, and Bama number 12, which means that Bama will now be back into the playoff pictures. Hey, what you say about that, Mister 411?
Well, can you hear me? Corey, can you hear me? Hold on a
Question
second,
is,
Corey.
do we think we're going to see Boise State and that running back in the playoffs? And how many of y'all think that he's going to be able to produce the numbers to for the rest of the season to challenge Barry's record. Unless Mr. 411 got anything else he want to hit, let's talk about this week's top 10 rankings, top 12 rankings, and do a little quick Heisman talk before we get out of here. Let's
All
go.
right, can you hear me, Corey?
The prediction for this week will be
Corey, can
Oregon,
you hear me?
number one, of course, Georgia, number two, Ohio State, number three, Miami, number four, Texas will stay pat, Tennessee will stay pack at seven, Notre Dame will stay pack at nine, BYU will stay at eight. Obviously Texas and Clemson will move out, and everybody else will slide at one position. So you'll have, and I'm sorry, and Indiana. So Indiana, Iowa State. So what we're going to end up with is the first appearance of Indiana in the top 12. They'll probably fall in at 10. Alabama will move back into top 12 at 11. And Boise State and that running back will now be in the picture at number 12. Now, if that's that, so if today's ends, that's what I'm going to say is going to end up being. Top eight: Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn. Well, yeah, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, Texas, Tennessee or Penn State, Notre Dame, BYU. Then I would say Iowa State, Indiana, Alabama, Boise. That would be our playoffs. All right, before we get out of here, because we're going to have a short show today because we have some technical difficulties, let's talk some quick Cosby talk. Right now, we have the best all-around player in the league. We have the most dynamic quarterback in the country. My brain is leagues, but it's actually college. But the best all-around player in college football, the number one quarterback in most probably eye-catching performances, and then we have a running back that potentially can break Barry's rushing record. Right now, those are our three front runners. My opinion, if the running back breaks Barry's record, that's almost a shoe in for him to win the Heisman. However, we still, if Cam Roy, if Miami's quarterback is still undefeated going into the last week before the Heisman, yes, that's also a tough pass. And the DB slash wide receiver, what he's doing is amazing because he's excelling at a high level. The only thing about it is, this is how I'm looking at it. Is he the best all around player in college football? Yes. Right? Best talent out there. Right? However, if I go, who's the best corner in the country? Would you pick him? I think that's a fair question. Then I go, who's the best wide receiver in the country? Will you pick him? You see what I'm saying? That's kind of where it hurts because he's not number one in either one spot. I don't, in my personal opinion, but it is. It's almost. But I'm almost 90. I'm almost I'm almost turned because the Iron Man football because I understand the kid is playing anywhere from 50 to 60 downs a game, two ways on the outside corner, wide receiver, and he's running back and forth. But the so my heart, the emotions like, wow, this is epic. But when I go back to the logic of it, is he the best at either one of those positions? So I guess that's where you got to look at. And then you go, is he the best at a Miami quarterback? And if he's not there, Miami's not undefeated. Miami's not even pressing nowhere near the top five. One piece gone. Obviously, he's a total difference at Miami. Number two, we got a running back that can potentially break Barry Sanders' single season rushing record. You see what I'm saying? So if everything goes as it is, it's going to be interesting who picked, and there's going to be hurt feelings either way, just because of the fact that they're going to be it's a bias against Giannis, this, and this if Cam Ward or the other guy wins. But if you just take the emotion out of it and see those three things that I put in front of you, Iron Man football, best all around player in the country. However, we can't say he's the best at either one of his positions. He may be top three in one of those positions and top 10 in the other position, but he's putting up numbers. However, then you put him against broke Barry Sanders single season record, rushing record, and possibly undefeated Miami, which has not been a factor in 5, 10 years in the national championship, undefeated quarterback, and he's the reason for it. So, as of today, I can't. Me personally, wouldn't be mad on either of the three players. That's just one man's opinion. And you ready to wrap it up, Mr. 411?